Pledge of Allegiance. Then I'd like to ask Reverend Chester Davis to lead us in a prayer.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our gracious Father God, us again to come before thee with thanksgiving, praise, and honor. We thank you for allowing us to come together for the assembling and taking care of our city business. We pray that you touch the hearts and minds of each our leaders, oh God, not only at this level, but even in our state level and our national level. We pray for our country as a whole, our soldiers that are abroad, and we pray for leadership all around us. Touch our hearts and our minds and guide us, oh God, that we'll do the things that's right for other folks. Bless us in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. May I call this meeting of the Fort St. City Commission to order. First order of business tonight, I would like to ask everyone if we could just have a moment of silence. And I'd ask everybody to keep Commissioner Eric Langston in your prayers. He lost his mother last week. They're going to have a funeral this Saturday, and I'm sure he's going through a rough time. So if we'll just take a moment of silence. All right. First order of business, have the consent agenda, regular commission meeting, 1/16/18. Has everyone had a chance to look it over? I need a motion to approve. So moved. Have a motion from Commissioner Bezet. Second. Second, Commissioner Lowry. All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. All right. Fort St. Joe Redevelopment Agency update.
Good evening. We had our redevelopment meeting before this meeting, prior to this meeting, and talked about some improvements we're trying to make in the downtown area. And I think this year we're going to look really hard at improvements on Reed Avenue. The plan is to finish up the Gateway Arch by this week, probably tomorrow afternoon, with the last finishing touches on that. And we're talking about making improvements in some of the planter beds up and down Reed to make Reed a little bit cleaner, a little more better shape for our business owners and tourists and people shopping downtown. We also are entertaining the idea of repaving Reed, and that's a big undertaking, and what the exact scope of work is going to be. It's going to have some impact for business owners, and we're going to talk about in a workshop on February the 20th at 4:30 right here. We're going to talk about, again, the impacts of businesses. It would be a great improvement for downtown. That street's 20 years old now, and it looks it. It's got a lot of bad potholes and people being injured, tripping and falling and whatnot. It's an expensive undertaking, but it's very necessary. So on the 20th, we're going to discuss, I guess, our options and our budgets, and kind of how we're going to take that street down and bring it back up. Being sensitive to the fact that summertime's our busy time, so we're going to talk about doing it prior to summer or after summer. With that, I'll take any questions.
I know, Bill, we discussed you were going to go around to the businesses and deliver the annual report and give them that notice as well.
Exactly.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, we'll go to every single shop on 98, Reed, and Williams that will have some impact with this project. And we'll let them know what the workshop date is. We'll have our annual report, all our financials, everything laid out. So that should get the word out, everybody. Any questions?
Anything from Bill?
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you, Bill.
Appreciate it.
Have a good one. All right, Mr. City Attorney.
Yes, Mayor, I have a couple things on the agenda this evening. The first one would be ordinance number 546, which deals with the capital improvements plan update. I'd like to ask the board to have a motion and a vote to allow me to have a second reading, and then a motion and a vote for consideration of adoption.
All right, we have a motion for a second reading.
So moved.
Have a motion with Commissioner Ashbrook. We have a second.
Second.
Second from Commissioner Lowry. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Ordinance number 546, an ordinance of the City of Port St. Joe, Florida, amending the capital improvements element of the comprehensive plan, amending the 5-year capital improvement plan, adopting the updated school district 5-year work plan, providing for repeal of all ordinances or parts of ordinance in conflict herewith, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
All right, now we need a motion for consideration of adoption. Have a motion from Commissioner Brazil. Have a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Langston. All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries 5-0. All right.
The other thing that I had deals with a resolution placing a temporary moratorium on accessory buildings. That is currently listed down there under Commissioner Bezet in new business. I can handle that now if you'd like me to, or we can wait till then.
How you want to handle it? Commissioner Brazil?
It's you, Mayor.
We can go ahead and do it now.
At our last meeting, Commissioner Bezet brought up having me look into accessory buildings, basically because of the proliferation of pole barns in the city limits. A lot of them didn't look very well, and Commissioner Bezet asked me to look into it. Currently, right now, in residential in District 1, the only restrictions are that you can only cover 40% of your lot with a primary building or any accessory building. You gotta adhere to the setbacks, and you can't just build an accessory building without a primary residence. In R2, it's 60% in terms of the lot coverage. You gotta follow the setbacks, and the same thing with the primary residence. Other than that, those are the only restrictions we have on them. There's no height restrictions, there's no restrictions with regards to whether it be a pole barn or covered in. Therefore, in looking at it, it's not necessarily gonna be a very easy thing to do, and we're probably gonna need some time to workshop it and look at it and come up with some ideas as how we can amend the LDR with regards to that. So what I thought was best to come up to place the moratorium would just be simply no accessory buildings until we can go ahead and amend the LDR. And that's the resolution that I came up with. I think each of you should have a copy of it in front of you.
Yeah, that, my whole idea was not to be over restrictive, but I do think we need to workshop it before it gets out of hand. I'm afraid, go through Oak Grove and it got out of hand real quick out there before the county could get a handle on it. I didn't want that to happen in the city. We need to protect our tax base, and I do believe it devalues some of the surrounding properties, especially according to where you put it. So there's a lot of things that concerns me. I have had some concerns by citizens, property owners, and that's why I asked our attorney to come up with something. So I think this will slow it down till we can get a handle on it and come to somewhat of an agreement to where they can be. I mean, right now you can put one in the front yard if you wanted to.
Are there any outstanding permits pulled that haven't been built yet?
That would be a question for the building department, to be honest with you. I would imagine there probably is.
Because the way this is written, this is a moratorium on the construction of an accessory building, so that would say anyone that's already got a permit is not allowed to construct it at this point. Is that?
I think it would be, there'd just be no more permits issued after this point.
I just want to make that clear, because someone's already got one.
That's what I understand.
You know, and I looked around this, and I know several people that have the pole barns. They put them up because they got stuff they want to keep out of the weather, and they're concerned that we're putting too much government on them, that we're restricting what they can do on their own property too much. They don't mind being restricted, but they don't want us to step on them, and that's what some of them tell me they feel like we're doing now. I could never vote for a moratorium. I can't personally. Now, I can vote later to have a workshop and look at it, but I just had too many people. I went around town, I counted at least 30 pole barns in the city limits. There may be more, but I tried to cover every street in town and count everything that's a pole barn. Not sheds, because sheds are different. You gotta control them too with pole barns. I mean, if you're doing outside building, you're gonna say just pole barns, or you gonna say any kind of outside building?
Well, that's the whole point.
It's
Mayor.
not that, you're absolutely right, Mayor. It's not so easy. It's pretty complicated.
This would
That
prevent building a garage.
It would prohibit anything other than your primary residence at this particular
Can't vote for
moment.
that.
Because in our LDRs, there's no definition of each accessory building, so
No.
you've got to do the accessory building to slow down the pole barn situation. So, I mean, I think it's necessary to protect the values of our tax base, so that's why I asked you to bring it up. So, I'll make a motion that we adopt resolution 2018-01.
Okay, we have a motion on Commissioner Rosette. You have a second. All right. Motion fails for lack of a second.
Mr. Mayor, could we get public comment on that, just to kind of see where
Sure.
everybody stands?
Sure.
I like to table it and think about it before I vote on it. I mean, I need to get a better understanding of what's going on with the situation, you know? That's what I like to know.
I can, I don't guess there's any reason I can't have it on the agenda of the next commission meeting.
I'd just like to hear from the public, people that do have an issue with it.
That's what, before we put a moratorium on anything, I like to have a workshop and see what the public says.
Yeah, I'm flying blind here. I mean, I don't personally have a problem with it, but I can see it could get out of hand. But I'd like to hear what the citizens have to say.
I don't necessarily disagree with you,
Yeah.
Commissioner, about, because
It will get out of
you
hand.
can close them in and then it just turns into a bigger issue, but I can't vote for all accessory structures. That's,
Well, I'm just saying right now until we have a workshop, but I mean, it appears not to get a second, but we do need to do something. If we want to have a workshop, I would certainly like to do that. If you do ride around town and see what's happened recently, you'll see what I'm talking about. And and like the mayor said, he counted 30 of them. I didn't see that many. That's even more bigger concern now that you said that than it was before. So,
Jim might have mentioned to me that there was like 50 in
I
Helen.
think depending upon
Maybe
the
more, but I'm just counting pure pole barns, not other structures.
I think they said 56 accessory buildings in 3 years, I think.
and that could be a
Yeah, it's
garage.
not just a pole barn.
Yeah.
Lodge, small storage.
but I mean, a pole barn that's larger than someone's house, taller than someone's house, it's, that's not a good thing.
That's what I believe we need a workshop for, to discuss. There's certain, we put height restrictions. we
I'm
put
ready to
size
set up a workshop if anybody
Okay.
else wants to set a date for one.
Yeah, let's do it. Tuesday's the 6th.
We could just make the 20th workshop day start at noon.
Good.
Well, it's up to you guys. We got one at 3:30, at 4:30. We could have this one at 3:30.
I'm about to propose one too later on in the day, so keep that in mind.
I wonder if we would need to go to another day and a later time, so the public.
I would agree with that.
3:30,
Yeah, that's too early.
working.
That's too early, yeah.
So I would say let's try to pick another day and maybe a 5 o'clock.
What about Thursday, the 15th? That'll be before our next meeting.
Thursdays.
I won't be in
5.
town.
You won't be in town, but
I'm out of town on the 14th through the 19th.
22nd is the League of Cities meeting here,
Right.
so we can't go then. Tuesday, the 27th,
That's fine.
I can do that
at
one.
5 o'clock. Tuesday,
Everybody agree to that,
27th
Tim?
at 5.
Eric, you okay with that? All right,
Okay,
there we go.
all right.
Next,
That's all I had, Mayor.
okay. All right, Jim?
Yes, sir. The first item we have is a reference to the Centennial Building train. We did give you a couple handouts today for some updates on some of the fencing we discussed. Commissioner Gazette wanted to discuss it with you tonight.
Yes, Mr. Grantland reached out to a fence company and got actually a quote. What he came up with at our last meeting was we buy the materials, and then we put them up ourselves. The materials alone were $3,200. Then we've got the concrete poles, take our labor force away from some things maybe more important. And so this Gulf Fence and Construction came up with a quote basically for the same fence, and they would just install price. I think you've got a proposal and a picture of what the fence looked like, and for $42.20. So I think due to the fact that we need to keep folks off the train and make it, dress it up a little bit at the same time, I'd like to see us let Gulf Fence put it up for us. And Jim Anderson said that we could find the money in what fund did you say?
Probably repair and maintenance of buildings or
Either out of materials and supplies, either
So-
one in the
So there's
recreation
money in the
department.
budget.
Okay.
So I'd just like to make a motion that we let Gulf Fence put it up for us. It includes a gate and so forth, so we need to get in there and work on something.
I'll second that.
Well, motion by Commissioner Brazil, the second Commissioner Ashbrook. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries 5-0. All right.
The next item is a reference to Mayor Pro Tem. There is a vacancy in that position, and we tabled it at the last meeting, Mayor, for further discussion by the board.
We need to name one. Who wants to be Mayor Pro Tem?
How did we decide that last time?
I think we went by seniority, if I'm not wrong.
I think you're right.
I think that's what we did last time.
Commissioner
So
Thursby.
it went from you to Thursby. Dang.
You're the longest tenure man.
Yeah, I'd be fine with that if y'all are okay with it.
I'll make a motion. Second.
Got a motion from Commissioner Lowry, got a second Commissioner Brazil to name Commissioner David Ashbrook. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Likewise, motion carries 5-0. Got a new Pro Tem. Right.
The next item we have is in reference to Scott grant cycle. Just keep in mind, the cycle does end the 31st for us to get an application in. We currently have one in queue for the second phase of Garrison Avenue. They do look at pavement surface as the #1 criteria, so it would have to be a road that really needs it. In the last cycle, I think they said there were 93 eligible cities, only 8 got it, so we've been very fortunate to get 2. So, but keep in mind, we need to make a decision on what we want, if we want to put in an application. Okay, the last item we have is in reference to the League of Cities meeting, which was mentioned earlier. We have it scheduled for the 22nd. We do have everybody that will be available signed up for the training. I think Commissioner Langston said he wouldn't be available that day, but we do have everybody signed up for that. Also, too, if you're going to come to the dinner, or if you're going to bring a spouse or significant other, we need to sign those folks up too. So let us know if you want to sign up for the dinner. The meeting's at 6 and the actual dinner's at 7. Okay. All right, the next item we have is under new business, under Chamber of Commerce. We have a request in from the Chamber. They have their events coming up for, let's see, it's on page 19. What they've requested is that we actually advertise on the utility bills. Usually we put posters up, those kind of things at City Hall, but this is a little different. Advertising request to actually put on the water bills for their event coming up for the Blues Festival. So I told them I'd bring it to the board for consideration.
I really don't have a problem with it, and without opening up a can of worms, we could limit the advertisements on our water bills to the non-departmental funds that we already fund through our budget process. So that would be like the library, the Chamber, Humane Society, ARC, senior citizens, and that would limit the ones that could do it to those, because we already support them. If we can help the chamber be self-supportive, or any of them be self-supportive, we could eventually maybe get them off our budget. So I just,
What all is going on with the Blues Festival? Are they gonna close down Olive Reed?
That is a request, yes, there's supposed to be an event, to my understanding, they're gonna have a stage, and they do want to close off Olive Reed Avenue. Chief Herring and I said we probably need to sit down and go through all the details, but yes, sir, that is the request, it's gonna be Olive Reed Avenue.
Is there gonna be drinking in the street and all?
They have requests for alcohol permit, yes, sir.
There was a big fuss here a little while back about alcohol on Reed Avenue. We had a big crowd in here, didn't like it. Now we're gonna vote to let them have a all-night party and close down our whole street.
I don't remember what the limit was, I mean, the time limit was. One night be at the Fort Theater, and then the second night is in the chamber last day, and I can't remember what it was, but it was the way it read, I thought it was just gonna be at the Commons area next to the City Hall, but.
No, sir, it would be on Reed Avenue is the way the request is.
Entire
for
Reed
alcohol.
Avenue.
Okay, but still, I'd like to let them advertise.
I agree with you, Mayor. I mean, we had,
We had
people spoke, definitely that day.
lined up outside the door there about it, and I just can't vote to close down Reed Avenue and let them just serve alcohol for a Blues Festival. They can go over to Frank Pate Park or somewhere, or go over to the other park over here and have it all they want. Reed Avenue is kind of off limits, I think, from what we had in here that night, for people not wanting us to vote and let them drink alcohol on Reed Avenue. So I can't vote, I can't go along with him. He can advertise on our sign out there. You know, every time somebody rides by, they'll see it.
Jim, so I'm clear, are we voting on whether or not to let them advertise, or whether or not to allow the party?
Well, now we got another question there. Exactly, the request was to advertise, but exactly right, the mayor brought up about the alcohol on Reed Avenue itself on there, and they have submitted an application into the state, so if it's the board's wishes, we'll pull the plug on the approval for alcohol on Reed Avenue, if that's the desire of the board.
I mean,
Well, let's tackle one thing at a time.
The first
If we
issue-
let them advertise, then we can work this other out, is the way I'm thinking. I mean, they're not gonna advertise alcohol on Reed on the city water bill, I'm sure. They're just gonna advertise the date, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
They're gonna advertise the
kind of
date.
be misleading to the public if you don't say there will be alcohol served or something. Then you do serve alcohol, then they're gonna say, well, what's the commission doing? I mean, I can't vote for it, everybody else may be able to, but I can after that night what we had here. People do not want openly drinking on Reed Avenue. That's what the people told us that night. If I remember right, that's exactly what they told us. So I'm gonna go with the people and with my vote anyway, but I don't know about anybody. Like I say, then put the advertisement out here on the sign out here, but I still don't think we need to let them close down Reed Avenue for alcohol. I mean, we just went through that a few months ago, trying to get alcohol served on Reed Avenue. And it was very staunchly put, no.
And I do understand business owners can get like a one-time permit or two-time or three-time permits.
Yes, sir, special event permit. Right now, the way it's set up, if it's the board's wishes, it still has, you know, if it's a change of policy, we can definitely squash it. But before, what happens is you can ask for a special permit, and you can get permission from the state to do it. You know, that's not every day, but on a special event, you
But the
can.
special permit, that would
just
be nothing like closing down Reed Avenue, that'd just be like at your place, right?
Yeah.
It depends on what they request. You could say one block, or you could say the whole street, Mayor.
I'd like to support the chamber, and there's enough establishments on Reed, if somebody wants to have an alcoholic beverage, they can go inside and have one. So, there's plenty of places.
It would have to go inside and drink it, they can't walk around the street.
That's correct.
And that's what he's talking about, walking down Reed Avenue drinking.
Well, no, I'm saying, no, we're not gonna approve that, I'm
Right.
just,
That's what this guy wants us
I'm
to
saying
approve.
there's, you misunderstand, I'm saying there's enough places, if somebody wants alcoholic beverage, from one end of Reed to the other, there's plenty of places they can go in and participate.
Right.
But I do want to support the chamber, and we, you know, we won't have drinking on Reed Avenue. That's all it is to it.
Well, Commissioner Bezetta, I like the way you qualified that they have to be one of our non-departmentally funded organizations. But I'd also like to add to that I don't think we should allow people to advertise if it's not free to the public and family friendly. I mean, like you said, if there's going to be drinking on the streets, I don't think we should have any part in advertising it.
Mhm.
But I, you know.
Well, there's not going to be any. Not legally, anyway.
Where did Steve come up with these ideas?
The chamber represents our businesses, and I'd like to say, I'd like to support them any way we can, without allowing the permit for alcohol on Reed Avenue. So, I think.
Come on up, yes ma'am. State your name and address, and please write it down for us, yes ma'am.
Heather Blood, 302 19th Street. Now, for Oktoberfest, you allowed alcohol, right? Just up to like half of Reed Street?
It did, yes, it was a certain area, you're exactly correct. It was, they had, the permit they had asked for was for a couple of blocks.
So this really isn't any different than Oktoberfest.
Maybe that's the workaround. Maybe the workaround is they can have a lot where they could have beverages, but if they're not pushing it on the public, we still won't allow them to walk out on the street. That specialty alcohol permit could only be in this one little zone, and they have to keep it within that area, like the beer garden, basically.
Yeah, I
That
think you
way-
could have it, I think it was like 2 streets down, there was a trailer set up and you could go down and, you know, drink, have a beer and drink.
We would just have to have it clearly marked, don't leave this area.
Yeah, and that's why I'm just saying, let's let them advertise their event, maybe they can raise some money, and we can work out the details with their application on all these little things that we're talking about.
But I also agree with you for the water bills. I mean, I get the blues every time I see my water bill. But I think it is a good place to advertise for the community that we are having a jazz fest on these dates at this location. But once again, they're going to want to serve beer, and you stipulate where it can and cannot drink on the street. And a lot of people will want to stand there and listen to jazz music and have a beer, as they did with Oktoberfest. So I
And
think-
did Oktoberfest come before or after we had that meeting about alcohol?
Or after.
Came before, I think.
And for the meeting, I think that was mostly for the businesses. serving
It
alcohol.
was, and it was full-time.
Oh, it was for all, okay.
Permanent.
Yeah. But if you know, if you're a business, I can understand, you don't want people walking up and down Reed Street every day with their drink.
Well, I had one lady complain to me about Peppers. She won't keep her store open in the afternoons because drunks come from Peppers. And she said, I'm not gonna be around a bunch of drunks. So she closes the shop. She won't keep it open after 5.
Yeah, it's a precarious, around the fence, you know,
Yeah.
it's a precarious situation because you want to keep people happy and keep people coming here to do great
Yeah.
things. But then again, you want to take care of the people that
I
live
just
here.
like to keep it off Reed Avenue if I can. That's other places, plenty of
But
places to have it.
if you deny Jazz Fest from having their beer in the street, they may come back to you and say, well, what about Oktoberfest? They were able to have their beer.
Right.
Why can't we have ours?
Chamber.
Same people.
Same people.
It's the
It's
same people,
the
the
same
chamber did
group.
Oktoberfest as well.
Yeah.
That's, sorry.
That's okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Come on up, John.
Hey, John Parker, and I would like to point out that there has been precedent set before with beer drinking on Reed Avenue. We've actually had the chili cook-off on Reed several years back where the street was closed off. Now, one thing that happened was the City Commons Park was cordoned off with yellow tape, and they sold the beer there. So it was a controlled environment, but there has been a precedence of beer sales on Reed Avenue before. So just want to
Thank you,
point
John.
that out.
Thank you. to vote on the advertising part of this anyway?
I'll make a motion we allow them to advertise their event and the dates of their event.
Hey, thank you.
Time out.
I just wanted to mention to you that, you know, we were involved and have been to the Appalachia Blues on the Lot, sponsors for several years. And it was in a cordoned off, you know, like a 1-block area. And they served beer, and there were some stores and stuff open that serviced the people, but I never saw anything out of control. And I don't know about you guys, but if I have a couple of beers, I ain't doing a lot of walking. So my original idea, or what I thought the Blues on the Lot in Port St. Joe was about, was basically a lot. I never heard the fact that it was going to be the entire street of Reed. So, and I understand the concern about that, but I think my suggestion would be to specify an area and then let them have the blues and some beer or whatever they want, but it's in that area.
Yeah.
And I know there's a lot of businesses that have already supported and involved in this, so there's some money that's changed hands already to have this event. So it seems to me like it's got to go forward.
Thank you, sir. Hey, you write that name down? Oh.
So Mayor, I'll make a motion we allow them to advertise on the city water bill, the dates and times only for the Blues on the Lot, I believe it's called.
All right, we have a motion from Commissioner Brazil. Do we have a second?
Second.
Have a second, Commissioner Ashbrook. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion passes 4-1.
Mr. Mayor, can I say something? Jim, did they request to have the whole entire Reed blocked off, or is it
Yes.
for?
Yes, they have. I believe the stage is going to be in the middle of Reed Avenue. Chief and I were talking about trying to set up a meeting, but that's to my understanding was all the Reed Avenue. So we need to give these folks some direction, especially on the alcohol side, because I don't know about vendors and all the setup on that kind of stuff on there. So we will definitely need to have a meeting this week. And
Staff's definitely gonna want some direction as far
I
as.
mean, I'm fine with the cordoning off an area, because, you know, the people that were here that meeting that you discussed, Mayor, they were upset about people walking by their kids on the street, you know, drunk. But if we have a cordoned off area and we can basically keep all the drunks caged, won't have that issue.
Well, and I can see why they wanted to have a main stage probably on Third and Reed. It's
somebody was on the side.
right in the middle of town. It's fair to all the merchants that way, that it's not sitting right in front of one particular area.
I believe it's on a Saturday, I believe, from my understanding.
That part, yeah. So yeah, I can see that, but, you know, as far as the lady doesn't want to open a shop because drunks walking out of a business, I mean, we got laws on the books for public drunkenness, so I, you know, if she has a problem, I think she needs to talk to the police department.
She might have talked to the chief one time.
Yeah. But he can't be there 24/7.
How does the board feel about allowing Jim to work out, you know, a block, one area that he could block off for the event? Or are we 100% against it?
I don't have a problem with it. We've already done it more than once.
We have set the precedent.
And I believe it's fairly controlled, Chief, or did we have things get out of hand or anything of that nature when we had it before?
Which event are you?
Either Oktoberfest or the Junior Service League Chili Cook-Off.
No, we had no issues for either one.
Okay.
When was the last time we had that chili cook-off on Reed?
It was in the fall, wasn't it, Mayor?
Yeah, I think we had it probably the last 2 or 3 years.
It's been at the Hard of Hearing.
That was October first that we had.
Yeah, they had something right there at City Commons. Had a chili cook-off or something there too.
Well, that would be my suggestion.
Yeah, I don't want it all the way down Reed.
We can't just open it up on Reed.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm fine
Full
with
coordinate off of
let
lot
staff,
maximum.
let staff work it out.
We'll do it. Let's see, the next item is, first I want to say congratulations, Miss Janice Hamilton. I see her back in the back. Miss Janice is retiring from the city of Port St. Joe, or has recently retired. So we want to thank her for her years of service. But what we have for you tonight is request for payout of her sick leave, Mayor. and I recommend that we pay it out.
Y'all discuss this with Jim, and I'm gonna support that, put it in the form of a motion.
Okay, we got a motion, Commissioner,
I'll second it. But before I
second by
vote,
Commissioner Bezetta.
I'd like Miss Janice to come forward and let's
Yeah, come on up,
recognize her.
Come on, Janice.
Thank you, Janice. All your hard work through how many years?
21.
21 years, so we're
They know Mr. Hambone back there.
Yeah.
He retired. He said, you put him to doing a lot of things.
All I can say is poor Hambone now.
Ms. Janet, we appreciate everything you've done for the
so
city. We thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
All right.
We got a motion, Commissioner Bauer.
All right, we got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries, 5-0.
All right. The next item we have is in reference to the city handbook. Commissioner Ashford wanted to talk to you tonight about it.
Yeah, we started the process of looking into this about almost a year ago, I think. We got through the police manual and kind of stalled. I have gone through the entire handbook, and the issue that we've got now is we're operating off of a book that's, how many years old?
1993, I think.
93. We have a fresh draft, a new handbook that has been looked at by professionals in human resources. I went through it, I can't see anything wrong with it. I just want everyone to take a look at it. And my recommendation, not tonight, but at the next meeting, is to, let's go ahead and pass this thing. If there's anything we want to add, we can do that at any time. But they need to start operating off of a current set of rules. And this is,
Yes, I agree with that.
we could have avoided that previous vote. This handbook handles that.
Correct, and I was, on page 26A, it's got, not be allowed to accumulate sick leave in excess of 1,020 hours. And that's in conflict, I thought, with the other, another area in here that limits it to 520. And I'm trying to, because it mentions 520 in several places in here. So I think we need to look at
Yeah,
that.
on the very next page, B,
Yeah.
10 years or more, he or she will receive 100% of unused sick leave not to exceed 520.
Right.
What that is refers to right now, currently an employee can carry 1,020 on the books,
Next page is
but when
cash
you
out.
get cash out, so there are two different, so yes, we have a few, but not many. But yes,
Is that misleading though? Should we change that?
I think we understand it, because basically it says that as an employee, that you could have up to 1,020 on the books, but separation for whatever reason you leave on, you're not gonna get paid for that.
You only get half of it.
You're only gonna get paid a maximum of, I think, the 5%.
Okay.
Payout versus what you could carry if you had a
Okay.
sickness.
That's not in conflict with some other section. I'm fine with that.
But my only recommendation would be we just take a look at it. If there's anything glaring that we need to change, we can address it. But my recommendation would be that we go ahead and adopt this at the next meeting, and then we can make changes as needed.
All right, that sounds good.
You can have mine. I got 3 of these. It's in your box. You
Yeah,
can put it in your
each
box.
one of you got a copy of the box, so Commissioner likes that. Okay, the next item we have is in reference to legislative update. Commissioner Ashford will give you one tonight.
Lots of things going on in Tallahassee, guys. In their true form, they think that the legislature thinks that they know more about how to run our city than we do. And I believe that the citizens know what's best for their own community. And I advise them to stay out of our business. Some of the things that are being brought up right now, as we speak actually, vacation rentals. There is a bill that actually passed the House, House Bill 773, and Senate Bill 1440, which is in a committee this Thursday at 12:30, that would preempt cities from regulating where vacation rentals can be. Meaning that if you live in an R1, you're in a neighborhood, if this law passes, your neighbor can rent their house short-term through VRBO or Airbnb, and you could have a spring break party pad right next to your house. It would take away a city's right to zone where vacation rentals can be. So if you want to, please call, I'll leave a list of the people on that committee that's going to be hearing it next. I'll leave it with Jim. Please reach out to these senators and let them know that we are extremely opposed to it. I think what happened there was a lot of the larger cities are seeing apartment complexes being built and leases being signed for the entire unit, and they're just acting like it's a hotel. They're putting the entire building on Airbnb and avoiding paying occupancy tax, TDC tax. And so they saw that as a problem and thought with one fell swoop they could just solve everything. There are some good things about the bill. They will require you, if you're advertising on one of those vacation rental sites, to be licensed through the state, through the DBPR, and they'll require you to put your license number on every advertisement or you'll be subject to fines. So that part of it helps. There was actually two bills, one by Senator Stubbe and one by Senator Simmons. If it comes up, we support Simmons's bill. It gives locals all the control of where they can be, but Senator Stubbe does not like cities, evidently. So anyway, this Thursday at 12:30 at the Senate Office Building, there's going to be a committee meeting on regulated industry that'll hear that bill. It's its last committee stop before it's heard at the Senate, and it looks like one form of that bill or another is going to pass. So just a heads up. The next issue is municipal elections. Once again, the state says that they want to get control over when municipalities hold their elections. They want it to be during and concurrent with a federal or state election time. So they're going to make it to where you have to choose between March or November to have your election. When speaking with our supervisor of election, he said that's going to be very difficult in November. It may make it to where if you vote normally out at Centennial Building, you'd have to vote there for your county and up races, and then you'd have to go back to the fire station to vote for the city race on the same day. So it's probably going to show us a little bit of a decrease in turnout if that happens. So the Florida League is against that one, 100%. We should be able to choose when we have our elections. It did passed several committees. It's up for a full House vote. And the Senate bill, that's the same, just had a meeting today at 2 o'clock and it passed 4-3, so it's going in front of the full Senate as well. It's looking like that's going to pass. Almost done. Community redevelopment agencies, they're going to pretty much, well, they're doing away with the starting up any new CRAs. They're going to do away with the program. And in order to renew one or extend it another 20 years, they're capping it at a 20-year extension. You have to have a supermajority vote of the board that created it, and it has to be brought before the legislature for approval. So that's going to be difficult. It also has a lot of different reporting requirements that are basically duplicating efforts that we already do. Let's see here. Opioids. They support that. It limits prescriptions of opioids to 3 days only. It should put a stop to a lot of the pain clinics that just get people addicted and tell them to keep coming back and not reduce their prescriptions. Impact fees, here's a big one for us. We have been putting away impact fees to pay off our loan when it comes due on our water lines. This bill, if it passes, will prohibit paying down old debt with impact fees. If this passes, it is a possibility. I do not know for a fact, don't quote me, but I don't believe we'll be able to use any money that we've put away to pay off that debt. And as we know, the only way to lower water rates is to either pay off our debt or hook up more people. This will eliminate one of those options. And that has gone just about to the end. It's in front of the full House and in front of Senate Appropriations Committee. And then affordable housing, they're going to make it mandatory for cities to waive mobility and impact fees for affordable housing development projects within a 5-year period. The city got a pretty substantial chunk of money when we built that affordable housing complex, and it would basically prohibit us from receiving those funds in the future if we built a new project. But that is basically it. I will encourage you all to just jump online to the House or the Senate website and see what's going on, and definitely go up to Tallahassee. These folks want to hear from their constituents. Call Halsey, call Montford, say, hey, I feel this way, but please work on that vacation rentals for us. It's going to be terrible. And that is all I have on the update.
Right.
Mayor, the last item I have tonight, under the evaluation appraisal report. What this is, they call it the ear-based amendment. This is actually, comes down from Department of Economic Opportunity. Last year, remember Marina Pennington, our planner, came in and proposed that we send back that we're gonna make this ear-based amendment. Based on that, Ms. Pennington has started the process, and I've talked to Mr. Ray Greer. He's gonna help us get it through, because we have to send back a report with a request by the by the 1st of March. So it'll be on the next planning board agenda and city commission. So we have some requirements we gotta do, Mayor.
Jim, let me ask you something about that. I noticed a number of different items in there. One of them that caught my mind was the future land use map. There's not gonna be any changes to that map?
Not that I know of directly on there. We need to go look at each one of these pieces. And what we have is, these were all pieces that Ms. Pennington suggested that we make changes to. I talked to Mr. Greer about that in that header and that ad in there. He said we need to look at each one of these, and if there's pieces that we don't want to do, he said he thought we could go and pull those pieces out. I've got to work with him this week to put that together so we can get it to planning board next week. But yes, sir, those are things we need to look at. We need to look at all this very closely. If there's something we don't want to do, then we need to pull it.
I just say to do, I mean, I deal with this on the county level, and it's extremely important. I want to make sure that we don't do anything that could jeopardize anything we currently have in there.
I told Mr. Greer, let's do what we have to do to meet the statutory requirements on there, but we don't need to go extravagant on this thing, because to my understanding is, normally if you have those kind of changes, what you can do is you can do it by ordinance. So if the board needs to make a change, you can come back and propose an ordinance, instead of having to go through this whole process.
Jim, what's this facilities accessibility evaluation? Is that something to do with this as well?
It does. There is a section in there. Well, no, it does not. No, that is a reference to Bruce Ballister.
Okay.
What that is in reference to the CDBG grant.
Okay.
What we have is, recall we had the CDBG grant in place for the water line replacement. There was a little bit of money that's left over. Back when we did the last one, we actually did improvements to the Centennial Building for ADA compliance. And the bathrooms behind City Hall. So what we have before you is, we told him it was too late for y'all. Y'all need to absorb this. Take a look at this, and what we'll do is we'll have it on for the next meeting. If you think there's something in there you would like to do for ADA compliance on there, we will ask DEO, Department of Economic Opportunity, to see if they will amend the actual grant agreement to allow for that kind of stuff. That's what that is.
All right, so are we doing a reading tonight on this, or you're taking it before the planning board?
It's going to planning board. We put it in the paper for the appraisal report, that it's going to planning board next week, and then it'll come before you at the next meeting.
Okay.
The requirement is we just have to do a transmittal by March 1st to DEO and the other agencies. And then from there, they're going to send back comments. It may be 2-3 months before it comes back to you for consideration and adoption. But we got to meet that requirement.
That's it. All right, me and John.
Yes, Mayor, thank you. Just a few updates real quick. The water line, the CDBG project, our portion, we are complete with construction. We're in disinfecting right now, so tomorrow we'll begin the flushing and sampling. So with any luck, we get the results back by Monday, and we can actually start connecting customers. So we're just about at the end of that project.
Good, good.
Tomorrow, just as the board is aware of, I'm sure White City will be out of water. We're making some improvements to the booster plant up there in the morning from 9 to 1. So the entire White City community will be out of water for a few hours. And the last thing I had was just the board was aware that our excavator was delivered today. So that portion of additional work will be ramping up soon.
Good. All right. Is that it, John?
That's it, sir, unless there's any questions from you guys.
Anybody have any questions for John? Thank you, John. Let's go with our financial man right now.
I don't have anything particularly unless anyone has any questions for me.
Anybody have any questions for Mike? All right, wastewater plant.
We've got some power issues. We've had them at the plant for a long time. So we budgeted some money to repower the plant. There's some big power, the old transformers, and that kind of stuff. So I'd like to be able to go out for bids for those. I'd like to be able to pull the trigger on that during the summer when we're down, because I'm gonna try to shut down a couple of months during the summer. So as far as spraying, not the whole plant, but, as far as, getting water out of the pond. So if we start going out for bids now, then we should be in the right shape then, to start working on the power issues.
So it's in the budget.
I've got it budgeted, and it's something we've been kind of putting off, but I think it's time. And we went ahead and budgeted for it this year, so that's kind of a big thing this year.
Make a motion to allow them to go out to bid.
I have a motion from Commissioner Brazette, second from Commissioner Ashbrook. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. And I was going to give you a quick update. If you drive over the bridge, the pond has never been this low since I've been there. So, we're starting to see little beaches around the edges and stuff. So and our target is to try to get it down to where it's at most 14 foot deep, which means we've probably got 11 foot of water. The sludge on the bottom is still the sludge on the bottom. So right now we're at a kind of an all-time low since I've been there, and we'll just keep pushing that right on through all the cold months, and just see how far we can go. So the pond's looking well, it's healthy, and so far the plan is working as we should.
Good.
That's all I got, unless you guys got
Anything else? Jim, you want to talk to Larry, or there's not much to say?
Yeah, Larry, John covered the one I want to make sure we knew about was White City. Want everybody to know that White City will be down tomorrow on there. As far as everything else is the plan, for understanding everything else is running fine there.
Good. All right. Now, city engineer is not here tonight, is he?
No, sir, he is under the weather. If you want me to give you a little bit of an update, I can, Mayor, what he's at with these projects if you like. With the boat ramp, he did get a verbal approval to repair the concrete at the boat basin right before the ramp itself. So we got that approved verbally, and also to put the rub rail on the left-hand side. So we're just looking for timing because we know spring's fast approaching. So as soon as they allow us to go ahead and move forward on that work, we'll turn it loose, get it done. So yes, we have approval for that verbally.
Yeah, that'll be under the current contractor then that would do that work?
Yes, sir, that would be correct.
Okay.
All right. Anything else, Jim?
The next, Long Avenue, he is working on the application, the SRF documents prepared for that as a backup plan for you there.
Quick update up too on the Long Avenue appropriations request. Halsey actually called me during the last meeting that we're at today and said that it is not dead. It's been sent to Senate appropriations now, so it passed through everyone that he needed it to go through, and it's at the Senate now. So that's good news.
And we any close to on Jones Homestead, Jim?
I think Mike had roughly 50. We need a few more folks. We were holding out for a little bit to see if we can get a few more signups. I think he has 50, but some are just, possible. We're about to the point where we're going to have to call DEP and say, hey, this is what we have. Can we move forward on the project?
So we need 65.
That's what the initial grant application called for, 65 grinder pumps. Yes, sir.
All right. Is that it on that, Jim?
Yes, sir.
All right. Code enforcement, everybody got your sheet there. Keep you up to date on that. Police department.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
I don't have anything on the agenda, but we started last week promoting our 3rd annual Police Department Family Fun Day. And so I want to, of course, invite all of you guys and everybody in the room to this event. It's the 3rd year we've had it. It'll be much like last year. We're going to give 20 bikes away, 10 boys' bikes, 10 girls' bikes. 12 of those were donated by the Port St. Joe Lions Club, 2 by Centennial Bank, 2 by Woodman Life. The rest were donated by other area merchants. Centennial Bank will set up their big tent and give away hot dogs, chips, and drinks. We'll have free pony rides, free petting zoo. All these folks, and when we do everything we can to thank them, they do all this for free. So everything at this event will be free for kids and families. We're gonna have a craft table, they can do some painting. We've got some ladies from one of the schools doing face painting. There's gonna be a 22-foot slide, even for adults.
You see us now, can't you?
That's bad news. And a Velcro wall, so if you want to put on a Velcro suit and run and jump into a wall. So it's going to be a fun day. Last year they estimated we had about 1,000 folks there. So we're hoping for that kind of turnout again. So you should see our flyer that I held up a minute ago in stores and businesses now. And
Is that going out on our water bill?
no, we put it on the water bill. Mike puts it on the sign every year. So the chamber, it was in the email blast that the chamber sent out today and one they sent out last week.
And when is it?
It's March, I should have said that, shouldn't I?
Yeah, I know.
It's on Saturday, March the 10th, Frank Pake Park. It's on the TDC's calendar, so if y'all can help us promote it, we'd appreciate it. If you can be there, we'd appreciate it. And that's all I got.
Anything for the chief?
Good.
All right.
Appreciate it, Chief.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
y'all.
Chief, last year you had it at First Baptist lot, didn't you?
That was our public safety day.
That was okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, we're probably gonna wait a few years to do that one again.
Okay.
That was a bigger undertaking.
Yeah.
That was huge.
But this one, you know,
This sounds pretty big too. though.
and it is. Kids liked it. Last year, the pony rides were
Yeah.
the line.
I stood in line. Great spots.
Thank y'all.
Thank you, sir. All right, Ms. City Clerk?
Yes, sir. Commissioner Lowry took my thunder on the facilities accessibility evaluation, but that is just for you to review and be prepared to ask questions or offer input on. I also provided you with the City of Port St. Joe 2018 general election timeline. I think questions have been asked about when and what takes place. And we did give a copy to Mr. Croft for the paper. But those are what has been approved with supervisor of elections. And they're on board to help us with our election this year, as usual.
All right, is that it?
That's it, unless y'all have questions.
Anything for Ms. Charlotte? Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it. All right, anyone in the audience, citizens wish to be heard? Anyone? Come on. Oh, I didn't see, I thought I saw a hand right there. No one? All right. Commissioner Zip, we'll start with you.
Don't have anything tonight, Mayor.
Nothing, okay. Commissioner Lowry?
Just one thing, Ms. Charlotte did bring up the election cycle this coming year, but I did want to announce that I would be running for re-election. I've enjoyed it. It's something I've wanted to do for a long time, and a lot of work to be done, and just extremely excited about the future. But that's all I have.
All right. Commissioner?
Mr. Mayor, I'm talked out.
You talked out?
I'm talked out today.
How about you, Commissioner Langston?
Well, I'll be running for Commissioner, Group 1. I'd like to ask you for your support. Give me a full 2 years, see what I can do. I promise you I won't let you down. And also, I had a question about the alleys over on the north side. What do we do about getting those cleaned up? I mean, at least once a month, we need to have don't we have a?
We do. We can discuss this a little further, Anthony, if you'd like. Yes, sir.
Okay. That's about it.
That's it? Thank you. I just got a couple of things, because people have brought it to my attention in the last week. And I know we've probably talked about this before, but a fish cleaning station down at the marina, is there any chance we'll ever have one down there?
At the marina or at the marina itself, Mayor? Or
No, down at, the end where we own.
It's been discussed before, but no, sir, we've not moved forward on it at this point.
Didn't the St. Joe Company put a cleaning station at the marina at one time, and it was a nightmare? And they took it out or something?
That's correct.
So really, that's a huge problem.
And that's what I told this person.
Yeah.
I asked.
Yeah,
But
that's, yeah.
in the past, it hadn't worked very well.
The actual marina has one, and that
Right.
thing gets jammed up. But I even talked to Clay about it a little bit whenever they were doing the boat ramp project, and
Right.
I mean, a lot of the fishermen really want something down there. I agree,
Yeah.
as I've heard it from them, but I don't know what the answer is really.
Another thing, John, down there at Jones Homestead, we got some kind of pumping station down there somewhere? Pump station or something?
Well, there's
Backs up
several,
to,
actually.
a
Yes, sir.
hunting lease maybe? The hunting lease is all around it. Anyway, I had a guy ask me if we could do something, maybe put up a gate so people just won't drive back in there. He says they're throwing trash around a lot.
Well, technically, that's not our station.
It's not ours?
If it's the one across from the hospital you're speaking of.
It's somewhere on Rutherford.
Which one's Rutherford? That's
That's the one that goes,
off of 30A, right?
yes.
Yeah, we don't own one on Rutherford.
All right. Well, let me get back with this guy and see exactly what he was talking about. We own one in that area anywhere?
We do, but it's at the, gosh, what's the name of that place? The apartments down there at the end. Oh my goodness, anyway, but it's in a residential area, so there shouldn't be any hunting going on there. If there are, you should probably move.
I'll get back with him and get him to explain a little more what he's talking about.
Yeah, there's
He don't know we can put some kind of gate, give him a key.
Well, the one that actually is sitting on St. Joe Company's property is fenced in. It's got a fence and gate around it, and it's locked up, so I'm not sure which one he's referencing.
Yeah,
All of our
I'll
stations
get back
have
with him
gates.
and I'll get with you on it.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. One other thing somebody's been mentioning to me about is the striping for parking out here in our parking lot.
This parking lot is it all?
Right here, this one. Mr. Lisa, didn't you ask me that one time? About the stripes in the parking not being bright enough to see?
Yes.
I thought you did. There was somebody else that mentioned it to me also. But anyway, just an idea, maybe on the next agenda, for the next meeting, we can put it on there about maybe striping this parking lot.
Good idea. And gave me food for thought for something else too. Mr. Willie Ramsey said the lettering is in that we have that was going to go on this side of the building, referencing City Commission chambers. But he wanted to bring it before he decided if he wanted to have the building painted before he put them up or not. So take a look at it in the next couple of days. And we can put all that on the next agenda if you want, Mayor, about the building itself. We need to fix the roof in the front. The awning looks bad, so we probably need to discuss several things about the building and get some.
I guess just put the building on there,
Let's do that.
repairs as needed.
Well, right, and we do have the materials in hand for the roof, which we're working on, so we're going to rebuild that.
Which one?
The little subroof right out front, that's
Okay.
got the 4x4 under it.
Right, yeah.
That'll be rebuilt.
I didn't know if I needed my hard hat or not.
You should be okay for now.
We'll put it on the next agenda.
But that's mainly the things that people had mentioned to me in the last couple of weeks. I just wanted to bring those up, and maybe we can talk about some of them later. Fish cleaning, I'm gonna just tell the guy, we're not gonna get one probably. And then we'll talk about the other things I'll get with you, John, later and see exactly what that guy was talking about.
Yes, sir.
All right, and that's all I got. I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.